Hey guys, who wants free money? I'm asking that because our partners over at Nitrogen Sports is giving away entries into the NFL Survivor Pool, which you can win free money. I know you guys heard us talk about them in the past few episodes. Very good partners of ours. They support our show. But if you guys go over to our website, eatsleepfantasy.com, you click on the banner for Nitrogen Sports, sign up for an account, and not only do you get into the free Survivor pool, but then you also get into secret pools for our listeners and listeners of other shows. So you have really good chances of signing up to one of these Survivor pools and winning some nice money to bet for the rest of the season, because I know you guys all love to gamble because you're listening to our show and we love to gamble. So if you guys don't know who Nitrogen Sports are, they are the #1 Bitcoin betting website in the universe. On Nitrogen Sports, you can bet on everything from baseball, basketball, cricket, esports, and of course football and a few others. Make sure you go check them out. Go to the banner on our website, click on it, and check them out. They're really easy to use, really easy to take money in and out using Bitcoin. That's really simple if you've never done it before. I'm pretty new to it, and I figured it out, so I know you guys will. So don't forget, go to our website, click on the banner for Nitrogen Sports, sign up, get into those free NFL Survivor pools. Super easy to do. Even if you've never even done a Survivor pool, what's the risk? You're basically playing for free anyway. So, and you're gonna win money. Check it out. Go to our website, click on the banner, and enjoy it. Appreciate it, you guys.
Yeah, eat, sleep, fantasy, you rockin' with the best. NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. We talking mock drafts, running backs, better follow the conversation with
John,
Dale, Christian, and Armando. Screaming Eat Nation, we doing what we like. Tune in every week, guarantee we get it hype. Fantasy football enthusiasts, I know you plan to be joining us on Eat, Sleep, Fantasy. Yeah, Eat, Sleep, Fantasy. Eat, Sleep, Fantasy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Eat, Sleep, Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Dale. Thanks for joining us. Today, I am sitting here all by myself. I have edited what I'm calling a nugget episode. I don't know if there's a really better term for it. Best of. I know some podcasts do best of. I don't know if we're going to do this for the rest of the year. I want some feedback of how you guys like this, because basically what I did, I spliced together, I went through 5 episodes and just got little nuggets from every episode for about a half hour's worth of content. We're just trying it out. Like I said, if you guys like this, email me and say, hey, that's cool, or yeah, I already listened to it earlier in the week. I don't need to hear it again. I don't know. We're trying something different. We like to try different things. As you know, we give away a lot of stuff just to be a little bit different. So check it out. Listen to the next 30 minutes. Let us know what you think. I went through one of our DFS episodes with Steve and JJ. I went through a mock draft that we did with Pat Lane. A lot of John. It seems like John hogs the microphone a lot. I don't know if it's our fault or his, but you do hear a lot of him. And it was pretty bad for me because I had to re-listen to everything and recut it. But nonetheless, I think it's really good content that we're, redistributing to you. I think it's a pretty cool concept. I don't know if a lot of other fantasy football podcasts are doing it, but check it out. Let us know what you think, and have a good weekend. And I hope everybody has a happy draft and a good time, because that's what fantasy football is all about. So check it out, and let us know what you think. Later.
So just a couple things as the preseason week 3 is kicking off, which, by the way, preseason week 3 is the most important as far as what it's going to tell us for the rest of the season, because this is the dress rehearsal for all NFL teams, probably besides the Rams. They don't ever play anybody in preseason at all. But a couple things just that we've seen so far today. Arizona game was earlier. Keyshawn Johnson is going to be the starting wide receiver. They're going to run 4 wide receiver sets more than anybody else in the NFL. So any piece of that starting puzzle you can get, and it seems like Keyshawn Johnson is going to be the guy there. It's definitely going to be Christian Kirk. There's going to be Larry Fitzgerald, and then after that, it's just a bunch of question marks whether they're flanking out tight ends like what they've shown us. Kingsbury did this a lot at Texas Tech, where he'll put big guys like he had Jason Morrow there. If you want to go really far back, he loves bigger-bodied guys, and that's what they drafted as well. So Keyshawn Johnson is going to be one of those guys. His ADP right now is unbelievably low and an absolute steal that you can get late in your draft. He's basically going undrafted and standard, or if you don't have like a super deep bench or you're not playing Dynasty, he's free. So look to get him wherever you can. And also on the other side, holy cow, Dalvin freaking Cook bust off an 85-yard touchdown. So for all those people that were getting Dalvin Cook in the middle to late second round, those days are going to be over if you haven't drafted yet. He is going to creep up into the first round, and rightfully so, because they have a new offensive coordinator there, and they are going to be super run heavy. It's just what's going to happen there. So, Brito, I'm going to ask you this. I feel like we've had some discussions about Dalvin Cook. Tell me exactly where you would be willing to take him, and what do you think?
I'd be willing to take him in the group of really high-end RB2s. I know a lot of people see him as an RB1. I don't see him in that vein for a lot of reasons. I think injury is the biggest reason. Not that I think he's going to get hurt this year, but it is a big risk with him. If he can stay on the field all year, he's going to finish the year as an RB1. But I think the biggest concern is injury. So really that's all it comes down to. I do want to jump now and talk a little bit about Mike Evans, because John will not stop saying Mike Evans over and over again.
Usually we do a lot of prep, and we share a Google Doc, and I don't have to see Christian's face, which is beautiful, by the way. He's a very attractive man. He did see my penis, and it's going to affect his rankings. I think I moved up in his rankings. But here's the deal. Mike Evans, I feel like, is not getting – I hate Mike Evans. Let me just say that first off. If you looked at my rankings last year, I had him so bottom of the barrel because I didn't really believe in the team. However, with Bruce Arians there, I absolutely love Mike Evans, and I know that he killed it last year. He's finished as a top 10 wide receiver every year he's been in the league, finishing 8, 9, 4, and 8 in the last 4 years. This dude is going to ball out, and oh my gosh, Bruce Arians with a huge wide receiver and a strong-armed quarterback. I don't believe they're going to win a lot of games, but they are going to air the fucking ball out. I love Mike Evans. I have him as my wide receiver 9. Man, Dale, is that crazy? Am I too high on him?
No, again, this is one of the rankings. I don't know if it's because we hang out so much together or what, but a lot of our rankings are pretty similar. I do want to correct you, John. You were looking at the wrong sheet there for Mike Evans' finishes.
Thanks a lot, Dale.
His last couple years, he finished 9th last year, 17, 3, 22, and 13, dating back to 2014. So it's still fairly consistent. I mean, since coming in as a rookie, being in the top 24 every single year, that's still not bad. If you can almost guarantee a top 24 finish, which that's an easy guarantee for me, for Mike Evans, you're doing something right. So,
and I'll say this, his yards have been on key every year. The only problem that Mike Evans has had as far as fantasy goes is touchdowns. Well, guess what? Bruce Arians is there. He loves to throw the ball in the red zone. So if you go back to all those years where Larry Fitzgerald was just an absolute beast, even though he was 45 years old, it was when Bruce Arians was there. When Bruce Arians left, Larry Fitzgerald dropped down dramatically. So you have to take into effect who's calling the plays and what his targets are going to be. There is not a lot of competition for targets there. It's Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, then Ted Ginn. So I really do think that Jared Cook has an opportunity here to be would you be shocked, Dale, if he finished tight end number 5? Dale's getting a drink as we are ordering. This is awesome.
Yeah, I like. What was your question about Jared Cook to me?
Would you be shocked if he finished as tight end 5 or better?
No, and that's I was talking about this earlier with somebody. The tight end position, you have a multi-touchdown game, and you're automatically in the top 10 pretty much. There's not a lot of being eliteness, except for the top 3, obviously, and that's why they call them the whatever, top 3, elite 3, whatever you want to call those tight ends. And then you're looking at guys like Jared Cook. Look, am I crazy? And I know there's a lot of hype, and I'll ask this to Christian. Am I crazy to be higher on Jared Cook than I am with guys like Vance McDonald, Austin Hooper, Delaney Walker, Trey Burton? Because I have Jared Cook ranked above those guys.
I have Jared Cook higher than that. I have Jared Cook in the group with O.J. Howard and Evan Ingram. That's where he belongs for me. I think people are, for some reason, I understand this offense is going to go through Michael Thomas. It's going to go through Alvin Kamara. I think there's a really good chance that Jared Cook is the number 3 on that team, and that is significant. That's significant. Look at the fantasy value of whoever is the number 3 for Drew Brees over the years. So, I mean, last few years it's been Mark Ingram, but if you go back, Drew Brees used to love the tight end position. Jimmy Graham in his heyday was Jimmy Graham because of Drew Brees. So if Jared Cook can just be physically what he was last year, if he brings that to New Orleans, he'll finish the year as a top 5 tight end.
Do not run away from players. And so it's funny in the NFL draft, teams will take players completely off of their draft board. As a fantasy player or a fantasy owner, you cannot do that. At some point, every player has extreme value. So do not get into your mind, oh, I'm not going to do this or I'm just going to do this. Because once somebody like that drops to the 3rd round, holy freaking shit, that guy is going to dominate. So as I turn this over to Brito, I do want to say when you're drafting, just be present and pay attention. Just because you don't like a guy does not mean don't draft that guy. If he falls, you scoop that up. That's insane value.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Emmanuel Sanders said he expects to be ready week 1 with no limitations, which, a 30-plus-year-old wide receiver coming back from a lower leg injury, it's tough to trust, but especially a guy who relies on his route running as much. But if he's comfortable and he's healthy and he shows something in the end of training camp, late preseason, I wouldn't mind getting him. He'd be a steal right now.
Yeah, and I think some people are jumping on him a little bit early. I'm seeing people, and I've been getting questions about taking him in, like the 5th, 6th, 7th round, and that's generally pretty close to where you were drafting him before. But I think everybody needs to pump the brakes on this a little bit. I mean, it's a different quarterback for one. Case Keenum, he always threw to a slot receiver, right? Joe Flacco never really had much to work with to begin with over there in Baltimore, so we don't really know what that chemistry is going to be like. But not only that, he's only a little over 8 months removed from his surgery. His surgery was December 6th of last year. So it's great that he's in camp. It's great that he's doing all this stuff. I know I was like super high on like Deontay Foreman, right? But, he's well over 12 months removed, into his situation, and he's a younger guy. So to JJ's point about the route running and all that stuff, I mean, remember, 8 months removed from the actual surgery. So, he's a super high risk, high reward guy, but man, I wouldn't be taking him where I normally would be drafting him, if that makes sense.
Quietly, Chris Carson put up an RB1 season last year. Mm-hmm. So even if you give all of those 146 touches to Rashad Penny, I still think Chris Carson can give you RB1 value.
Oh, absolutely.
And where you're currently drafting him, I mean, that's fantastic. Mm-hmm. But you got to assume that all 146 touches won't go to Penny. So you increase Carson's workload. If he can stay healthy, in a run-heavy offense, I think Chris Carson could be another sneaky RB1 like he was last year, and Penny can be an RB2. I don't see a reason why these both can't be successful.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of volume Penny saw towards the end of last year, but, I know he had enough touches in there to where, you take that 146 from Davis, right, and you add whatever Penny had last year. That's why I'm really kind of looking at these guys, because I believe Chris Carson had like 210 or 220 carries last year. That's why I firmly believe that the floor for touches Chris Carson's going to be the 250, and the floor for touches on Rashad Penny is going to be around 130. So I really do see these guys both having significant fantasy value this year. So in Buffalo, we've talked about this conundrum a few times, but I'm still big on Singletary. McCoy's still there. Gore's still there. Yeldon's still there, although I haven't been seeing good things about Yeldon recently. Singletary, dynasty-wise, that's the guy to own. And even go back to Chicago, you want Montgomery. If you have the other guys, great. Hopefully you have him handcuffed to Montgomery. But Singletary is going to be the guy to own. Who knows if Shady's going to be there, by the trade deadline. Who knows what they're going to do with Gore? Who knows what they're going to do? But I think at the end of the day, Singletary's still going to be the guy just because he's going to fit what they do there more than any of those other guys are.
Yeah, and quite honestly, between McCoy, Gore, and Yeldon, I got to assume one of them is going to be on the move at some point this preseason, whether it's a cut or a trade. I don't see him keeping these 4 backs. I mean, you don't draft Devin Singletary without some plan to use him. If you're going to use him, who aren't you going to use? I mean, you're not going to ask McCoy or Gore to go on special teams. I don't think you ask TJ Yeldon to do it either. So I got to imagine that one of those 3 older guys is going to be gone.
Yeah, I mean, something's got to give somewhere in this whole situation. They have whoever that kid was that took his first carry to the house the other day.
Wade.
Yeah, and I don't know if
British rugby star.
Right. And I don't know if Murphy's still on the team too. So there's going to be a couple other guys down the depth chart that are going to be fighting for a roster spot as well. I honestly can't see them keeping 3 out of these 4 guys. I think Singletary's a lock. My guess is it's going to be Singletary, Gore, and then whether they keep Yeldon or whether they keep one of the other guys, very hard to say.
No, I'm with you completely. And one of the things that people don't understand is very similar to what you said. You have to find whatever advantage you can, because in today's fantasy world, everybody is reading Matthew Berry. ESPN, kind of watching NFL Network, everybody's operating under this exact same value. So once somebody says, oh, you should take so-and-so, that's one of the big top media personalities, everybody hears that. So you've got to be able to find a way to find your advantage. And the way that you do that is that you adjust the consensus ranks, which we're going to talk through some tiers and stuff in a second, in a way that will benefit to your league. And so you gave some of those examples, and we're going to go through a mock draft and kind of set that up a little bit. But make sure you head over to your league site because they're all so vastly different.
So, Dale, maybe you can start us off on this one, touch us off on this one, really. Just curious about strategies-wise. There are a lot of different strategies out there that you'll hear. So whether you go running back in the first 2 rounds, or running back wide receiver, or zero running back, we don't take a running back till later, 0 wide receiver, or even value-based drafting, which is a little bit more complex for people that haven't been playing fantasy football. But is there anything in particular? Now, every draft is different, as John said earlier. Like, every draft is going to be different, so you're going to be looking at different guys on the board when it comes to you. But is there any strategy that you always try to do, or is there any strategy on that list that you're like, I'll never do that no matter what?
This is going to be kind of a easy question for me. I mean, value-based drafting is by far, before you get into your draft, depending, how serious you are, with it, you're going to go value-based drafting 9 times out of 10, just because even if you have, if you have the first, second, third pick, maybe the 4th pick, your pre-selected, running backs that you're going to get. But beyond that, you're drafting solely on value, 9 times out of 10, maybe even 10 times out of 10 for me. So yeah, that's my strategy going to it almost every time. The one running back, wide receiver, those strategies, I don't like to stick to that because you don't know who's going to fall to you. And if you have that predetermined strategy already before you even go into the draft, and you're saying, oh, I'm going to go wide receiver, but maybe Christian McCaffrey's available at 5 for some weird reason. why not get the best player available that's going to help you win? Again, going back to those, first 2 rounds that are so important, you really want to go for the value there for sure. Hey, I'm going to interrupt this Nugget episode for a quick mention of Manscaped and Manscaped.com. If you guys haven't heard us talk about them in the past, they are seriously probably the best thing that's ever happened to me. I am crazy now, shaving like every other day. Before it was a crazy mess down there, but now I have the confidence to use Manscaped because I'm not afraid to cut my balls. And if you're a woman listening to this, I think it's just as important to you because you can kind of shave down there. I really don't know how that goes, but I'm sure that there's a little bit of concern when you're going down there. You just use the Lawnmower 2.0. It takes all the worry away. So whether you're a man or a woman, I'm pretty sure it's geared towards men, obviously, because no neck technology and your balls, 2 things that go well together. But even if you're a woman, I think you could still maybe shave some designs or something down there. I don't know what women do nowadays. So I'm married with the second kid on the way, so I'm as clueless as anybody. But I do suggest you guys go to manscaped.com. Check it out. Awesome stuff. You use promo code ESF for free shipping. And that alone is awesome because you get this like little toiletry bag, this leather toiletry bag. It's really nice. I know all of us use it here and love it. I wouldn't promote anything that I don't believe in, and I really do believe in this because I'm an actual user. So check it out. It's worth using if you guys are afraid of scissors or your old, outdated razor technology. Go to manscaped.com.
You know what didn't happen? Almost no wide receivers went. Yep. This is going to happen, and this is why you mock draft. So let's just say you are the biggest Mark Ingram fan, and you're just like, if I don't get this guy on my team, I'm just going to be pissed. You go through these mock drafts, and you try it out. This is a trial. We're not playing with this team. And so now we know, man, if I want to be 100% guaranteed to get Mark Ingram, I've got to take him in the 3rd.
Right.
Or trade for him later on. So definitely some things that can happen. If you are in the middle of a draft and somebody picks the guy that you're in love with, what you want to do is, 1, put on your poker face. And what I do, I'm an asshole. I'm just going to be honest. I don't know if I can cuss on this show, but whatever.
Something like that is okay.
You can edit that for sure. My apologies.
That's quite all right. We'll stay away from the hard stuff. That's all.
And this gets into kind of your strategy. I'm going to be like, man, Mark Ingram, really? Like, what do you think about him? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm going to start working that trade right then and there. Well, all right, cool. Would you be interested in trading them and try to get some of that stuff worked out, whether that's in the chat or private DM, whatever? Hopefully it's a live draft. But we went wide receiver, and there's still some stud wide receivers there. Deep breath, and I hate to say it because I hate this damn offense.
Don't say Adam Humphries.
Nah, man, dude, he had 6 targets.
Whoa.
He had 6 targets in the opening drive of their preseason game. Like 6 targets on one drive on a rushing offense. Absolutely love that. Guy. I'm just saying. So there we go.
Wait, Mariota can't throw the deep ball.
Wait. Are you really check it down
every play?
Are you really saying Adam Humphries?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I'll say Jamison Crowder, the poor man's version of that. It's the exact same role. Target monster out of the slot. Love Jamison Crowder. Can't guard him. He creates so much space. And again, you have a quarterback that loves to check down. Adam Gase, go back to kind of the early Jarvis Landry days down in Miami, right? With those crazy targets. Well, guess who's calling the plays there for the Jets now? And he is going to be playing that Jarvis Landry role. I love guys that I can pair up that are guaranteed going to get, their 7 to 8 targets a game minimum, especially in a PPR or half PPR. The floor is there. Then later in the draft, I'm targeting super high upside swing for the fences guys. But yeah, I love those slot wide receivers that are going to get the most looks on their team.
Okay. All right.
Dale, the only thing I'll say about Humphries, and I'm going to let you go.
I love Humphries.
I'm going to pull a little Kanye here. But why is that your guy? Is that
Yeah,
the
it
guy
is.
you were gonna?
It is. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So I don't have to sell him to you. I'll let you talk about Adam Humphries then, if that's the case.
No, I mean,
I thought you were
John,
gonna say, if you were like you're gonna say Adam Humphries, I thought you were gonna like say something bad about Humphries. Like, wait a second, what do you mean?
No, because I've been
Okay.
on Adam Humphries since the day he landed in Tennessee, and everybody said I was crazy and I loved him too much.
I did
Anyways.
tell you that. I did tell you that.
Devin Singletary was my guy there, but also there's two people that I think are really being underdrafted. I won't go really in depth. We'll start getting wrapping it up, but Peyton Barber I think still has a lot of value this late in drafts, especially, and so does Adrian Peterson. I am a big Darius Guice guy. He's still not even clear to play though. Adrian Peterson going as late as maybe the 10th round for a guy that had 1,000 yards last year. I know he's getting old, but if he has the opportunity, he gets a volume. Adrian Peterson still has a chance to get in the end zone. So
he's going to finish higher than that draft stock. I don't think there's very much risk with Dak Prescott, especially kind of you factor in some of the rushing. Like he's not going to blow you away in that regard, but he is going to do some of that. And he's competent. And he's going to finish better than his average draft position or his ranking.
I think so too. I mean, he's rushed for at least 6 touchdowns.
Every year.
Actually,
Exactly
6
every year.
touchdowns every year. Last year, he nearly threw for 4,000 yards with about 3,900 yards and 22 touchdowns. That's not horrible, and I don't think that's definitely not warranted for QB 18.
Right.
QB 18 draft pick. So. Yeah, I think he could be a small steal. Now, the situation with Zeke is really going to determine exactly where he drafts for me on draft day in a couple of weeks.
Right.
I'm really curious to see what Zeke does because with Zeke there, of course, any quarterback is going to be more successful because, he's Zeke Elliott. So
Dak has given you about 300 rushing yards or so, maybe a little more than 300 rushing yards or so every season. 5 yards a carry and 6 touchdowns, like you mentioned. It's going to give you probably around 3,800, 3,900 yards. Maybe he cracks 4,000 yards this season. But that has been good enough for a top 10 quarterback every year. I'm going to go to eatsleepfantasy.com and check on the John's finishes chart. And right there, you can see Dak Prescott over the last 3 years. And so 10, 10, and 6 are his fantasy finishes. I think he's got another top 10 finish in his arsenal for 2019.
All right. A couple running backs here. The first one going around running back 26 is Tevin Coleman. I think John mentioned him maybe last episode or 2 episodes ago. Tevin Coleman of the 49ers. Just flat out, I know everybody in the fantasy community that talks about Tevin Coleman talks about Kyle Shanahan from being with Tevin Coleman in Atlanta and now in San Francisco. McKinnon is at least not going to start the year, so it looks like Tevin Coleman and Matt Breida for the most part. And Tevin Coleman, a lot of people believe, is going to get the opportunity first ahead of Breida. What do you think?
100% will get the opportunity first. I'm going to give you the same kind of logic that I gave you for Tevin Coleman that I did for the quarterbacks. You ready for this? Last 3 seasons, Tevin Coleman's finishes 18, 22, and 20. He's been a top 24 running back in RB2 3 straight years, moving into now a Kyle Shanahan offense, which he is familiar with, which he will lead and do well with. This year, he will be a top 20 running back, and he's being drafted well outside of that. Now, I would like if you guys didn't all go out and draft him because I'm trying to get him in a lot of my drafts, and you need to relax a little bit with that because his stock is definitely climbing. But it's still at the point where I'm happy because his ADP is 27 at the running back position, and I have him finishing as a top 20 running back.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean,
It's been climbing, though, because a couple weeks ago, he was in the 30s, late 30s. The Jerick McKinnon news has not helped that, but I think this is his backfield to lose. I am not a Breida guy. Breida is a fill-in average NFL running back, in my opinion. And Tevin Coleman, while not special in any way, is familiar with the offense and better than Breida.
Yeah, I mean, we can't just ignore what Breida did last year, though. He was very productive.
Yes, we can.
And he was just as productive as Tevin Coleman was with his attempts and yards and touchdowns. Okay. So, in a worse offense, really, last year. So,
I think
we
people
can't totally
are sleeping
ignore
on the San Francisco offense, by the way. I think it's going to be good. They definitely need rookie wide receivers to step up and play big roles, though.
Yep. All right. Yeah,
I
agree.
Am I coming at this too strong with the Tevin Coleman love? Because love is
I
love, man.
Look, you talk. I mean, you're saying he's around running back 20, which is fine.
Well, I'm saying he's going to be inside the top 20. So
yeah.
I predict he'll finish the year between 15 and 19.
Yeah,
which is what he did last year.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. And I mean, we keep talking about the same thing here with all these running backs. I mean, going back to Tevin Coleman, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, Aaron Jones, maybe those guys, Chris Carson. They're all going to be lumped in all together. So
yes,
yeah,
but
100%. There's all kinds of value.
The issue. So if you go anywhere and you go to the consensus rankings, Tevin Coleman is not being put in that group with the Chris Carsons, Josh Jacobs, Mark Ingrams, David Montgomerys. And I think he firmly belongs in that group.
I agree.
Tevin Coleman's going in the group with like Kenyon Drake, and that's not the right group.
Tyler Lockett.
You know what sucks? Like, I come onto this show, super animated. I want to bring the Sazon, and you just like fucking take that away from me.
No, I was ready to bring the Sazon.
Oh. Bring the what?
Sazon.
Just say flavor, man. The seasoning. Just say something else. Just say anything else.
I'm ready to bring the sofrita.
This man's like, I got the Sazon Goye. Say,
I ate black beans and rice today.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Oh, my wife just said it's called sofrito.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
What's the most Hispanic thing you've ever eaten?
Tamales.
Cool.
They're pretty Hispanic.
You ever had like pig's feet? Pata puerca en cazuela.
Nope.
Yeah, that was my dinner 2 nights ago.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, really good.
That's disgusting. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Sazon, let's talk about Tyler Lockett.
I feel like if you're going to say speaking of Sazon, it needs to be like Juju Smith-Schuster or something. That man's got some seasoning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we got to talk about Juju Smith-Schuster in a little bit. Okay, so Tyler Lockett, wide receiver 20. There's no more Doug Baldwin. When we're talking volume in terms of wide receivers, there's nothing better than the guy in the slot because you're probably going to get targeted more than any other position on the field as far as receptions go. So Tyler Lockett should be in tune to get plenty of targets with the absence of Doug Baldwin, and he's talented. I mean, last year he finished, was he a top 12? I'm pretty sure he was a top 12 wide receiver last year, almost 1,000 yards.
You know where you could find that out?
On John's Fantasy.
On easlyfantasy.com, it's a website.
And what was his finish last year?
I can let you know right now. Do you want to know?
Okay. Yeah, please do.
All right, hold on. My keyboard's very loud. 16.
Yeah, okay. So, that's close.
I just made anyone listening to this very loud in their headphones fucking jump, by the way. I'm sorry. Wide receiver 16 last year.
Yeah. 10 touchdowns, almost 1,000 yards.
And he's going to have an expanded role this year. Why are we not higher on Tyler Lockett?
In the top 20 last year, top 20 wide receivers, he had the fewest targets of all wide receivers.
And his role will expand this year. Why are we not higher on Tyler Lockett? I'm going to repeat that question.
I think for me, I think I just like to get him, to move him up we're going to have to take other people out.
Okay.
So who are you taking
Tyler
out
Boyd.
in front of him? Okay, I agree with that.
Robert Woods.
Robert Woods was super consistent.
Yes, but I think he's going to take a little bit of a step back. I think that offense will throw a little more to Brandon Cooks this year.
Sure. Okay. All right. So take him out. Who else?
Let's see.
Give me some names. Kenny Golladay?
Kenny Golladay. Yep. That's a good one.
That's probably where Tyler Lockett is. Don't you think?
Yeah, but that's not where he's going.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to tell you where he's going in an ADP because you said his rank is, 20? I guarantee you his ADP is lower than that because people don't feel the same way. ADP of 22.
We're not making a strong point here. 2 picks.
ADP of 22 finished 16 last year, and we expect his target share to go up.
Sure, right.
Like, Dale, the difference between cracking the top 15 at wide receiver and being drafted at 22, 24, that's significant.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. And the safety of an increased workload, the consistency last year, having already had that under your belt, I feel like that's much more safe than Calvin Ridley, Alshon Jeffrey. Like, those are options in the same range. The guy's going five slots ahead of the wide receiver position, Julian Edelman. You don't know what the fuck's going to happen with Tom Brady now at 42 years old. Like, I guess.
Yeah.
So, side note, I drank an energy drink before I did this podcast. If you hear me mess up a lot, it's because I'm trying to get out words quickly and I'm not doing a good job of it. So, Baltimore Ravens, Green Bay Packers, Mark Ingram. Okay, I'm easily distracted. It says he played in 7 saps. What are saps?
Snaps.
Yeah, but it says saps.
Yeah, that was a typo.
Yeah. Thanks, Clayton.
Yeah, do all this hard work and we're going to pay attention to one letter. How dare you, Canadian? Mark Ingram's going to be a beast this year. He just moves forward. He is the perfect fit for this offensive style running game with Lamar Jackson back there. Lamar Jackson looked great. The best play probably of last year, got called back on a penalty, but Lamar Jackson's going to be fine. Mark Ingram's going to be fine. But there is a new name.
Let's talk about this new name.
Justice Hill. He is electric. He is unbelievable. 10 carries, 49 yards, and a touchdown, and he's even better in the passing game. So pay attention to that. And then the last thing I want to say, the wide receiver 1 for the Baltimore Ravens is not Marquise Brown, who they drafted in the first round. It is Miles Boykin.
Agreed.
He got every single snap with the starters out there, and they were out there for a while. 21 snaps. He was out there for all of them.
But this is Brown being not healthy, right? That's what it is?
Yeah, and I think once he is healthy, it will be those two. I don't think you take Boykin off the field for Brown.
Right.
I think Willie Snead, who was out there for a handful of things, also Jalen Smith, Jaleel Scott, a lot of guys rotating, Chris Moore. It's going to be those two guys.
So this is what I want to say about the Ravens in general. Mark Ingram's role is not going to be hurt by Justice Hill. Justice Hill is going to be this year's Tariq Cohen.
And I'll say this on the flip side real quick. If we look at the Green Bay Packers, their wide receiver core is solidified. 2 wide receiver sets, Devontae Adams, obviously, but Marquez Valdez-Scantling is going to be the right wide receiver.
Right.
Geronimo Allison is going to be the slot, and he is splitting – sorry about that, I'm doing the same thing as you – splitting time with Kumaro. So Kumaro and Allison are switching kind of the slot role,
right,
and ESB and Scantling are taking the right wide receiver. But Marquez Valdez-Scantling, he is going to be out there for the majority of the game.
And I am willing to bet you'll also see MVS in the slot at times as well. So I think, and I've been saying this, and if I'm not mistaken, Allison is still being taken in ADP ahead of MVS.
Mistake.
I'll say this now.
Major mistake.
That's a mistake. Yeah, it's going to be MVS. It's going to be the most productive there outside of Adams, obviously, who is a top 2 wide receiver for most people. I think MVS will finish the season as a top 36 wide receiver, and probably a good draft day value.
Yeah. Eat, sleep, fantasy, you rockin' with the best. NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. We talking mock drafts, running backs, better follow the conversation with
John,
Dale, Christian, and Armando. Screaming Eat Nation, we doing what we like. Tune in every week, guarantee we get it hype. Fantasy football enthusiasts, I know you plan to be joining us on Eat, Sleep, Fantasy. Yeah, Eat, Sleep, Fantasy. Eat, Sleep, Fantasy.
All right, guys, Dale here again to tell you about Nitrogen Sports, the #1 Bitcoin betting site on the planet, on the internet, wherever you can get access to the World Wide Web. Nitrogen Sports, you can basically bet on everything you want. Everything from, I don't know if they have bowling, actually. I was going to say bowling, but I don't want to misrepresent them. But I know they have crazy stuff like cricket and other sports I never heard of, baseball, football, all that stuff. If you guys go, it's all based off Bitcoin, so it's easy to take your money in and out. If you guys are familiar with betting online, you know that it's a pain in the butt sometimes to get around and get your money back and all that stuff. You wait for overseas checks. This isn't the case here. You guys bet. If you win, you can withdraw your Bitcoin, take it out as cash, or trade your friends in Bitcoin later. All that good stuff. Don't forget, go to our website, click on the banner. That's how you get there. You click on the banner on our website. It takes you there. You get in the free NFL survivor pools, like I talked about a little bit earlier. You get in the secret pool. Secret pool kind of sounds like a good time, actually. But NFL survivor pool is what you want to do. So check it out. Go to our website, click on the banner, sign up, and win some free money.